Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Meta Talks. Today we have Domenik from iBLOXX and 0x Battleground, and we're going to dive in about all things blockchain gaming, what they're working on, what's the future, what does Domenik think about the industry? Is the industry dead? Is it alive? Is it booming? I want to hear, and I know the audience does as well. So Domenik, thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Daniel.
Yeah, I know we're going to dig into your background, but before you do, I was really surprised. There was a report that just came out about how blockchain gaming is blowing up in terms of usage for blockchain, and how what they were saying is for mass adoption, it's going to be critical for the gaming side. Before we dig into that, though, I think the audience would love to hear, and I want to know from you, what is your background and how did you get into iBLOXX and now 0x Battleground?
Okay, yeah, sure. So I'm Domenik. I'm 40 years old already, unfortunately. Time is flying. Yeah, okay. I come from a corporate investments and trading background. I've been basically a derivatives trader and futures trader all my life. Developed algorithmic trading strategies and managed large trading books on the institutional side. My convergence to crypto and the whole blockchain industry happened in 2016. At that time, I was still working for one of the largest banks in the world. And I was back on the trading floor of that bank, and I wanted to trade again. And when you work in these huge banks, there's so many restrictions because you could potentially have access to insider information, and you need to pre-clearance of every single trade. You have minimum holding periods. So trading from a bank's perspective, trading your own book from a bank's perspective is next to impossible, especially if you're like a short-term trader. So one day I had lunch with friends of mine, friends also from the trade control room and compliance. And they mentioned once, yeah, Domenik, that's true. But I mean, you can create these crypto things, the cryptocurrency, we don't care, right? You can do whatever. You just have to declare it that you're trading that. And that's the point then. And I was like, okay, well, cool. Let me trade crypto then. And that was in 2016. Since I was still working in the bank, I developed a couple of trading strategies, market making algos and arbitrage trading algos. So I didn't profit from this huge bull market that started in 16 and went to 17 because I was always market neutral. But that was pretty much my entrance into crypto, and thereafter left the bank and founded iBLOXX. Daniel, I'm not sure. I cannot hear you anymore, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So tell me, now that with the current market the way it is, how do you feel about how it's going? Everyone seems to be rallying. Of course, positive news spreads really good in this in a bear market. But how do you feel about the future?
Yeah. I think the future looks bright in general for Web3 and blockchain as an overall industry. We see a lot of adoption, I think, also in 2022, although the market itself was brutal and I would say bad actors, bad players in the market got washed out. I think when a market is so new, is so young and so fresh, these things always happen, right? And the correction that cryptocurrencies had in the last year was not out of the blue, right? I mean, if you look back in the history of Bitcoin, for example, you see all of these cycles all the time where Bitcoin and drops 80%, 90%. This happened multiple times, right? So I think it was overdue, a correction. Of course, I would have wished it would have not been that brutal. We at that time when Bitcoin was trading at 69,000, we were expecting, okay, there's probably going to be a retracement to like 30, 35, something like in that range. But not more than that was kind of like the original expectation. But having said that, I think it wasn't a huge surprise. Nevertheless, when you look at activity and all of the positive things, the things that in earlier in the bull market would have made a huge move in the prices, those went pretty much unnoted, Austin, almost, you can say. So I think one of the big adoptions came in the market is like, fiat on-ramps, like MetaMask accepting now suddenly bank transfers and lots of credit card on-ramp providers, which is needed, right? Because you need to onboard the other users that are not so familiar with crypto. And I think this is something that will maintain throughout this year, especially. We've seen the beginning of the year was very strong. I think especially gaming cryptocurrencies up over 100% on average. Gala Games is up over 200%, and others as well. So significantly outperforming the market, the benchmark, if you take Bitcoin or Ethereum as a benchmark. So on that end, I think it's very good. Investment sides, I think the sentiment in the last year, at the end of the year, was really bad. I think it was at an all-time low from a sentiment perspective. Even more proud that we have actually succeeded with our fundraise. We've just recently raised $5 million.
Wow.
And Thank you. Yeah, but I think it's picking up. January has already seen, I think, over 150 million in investments. And on-chain activities is the thing that is the most interesting. I mean, gaming is very active in the whole blockchain market. Like you mentioned, right now we're seeing about 50% of all the daily active wallets are connected in some sort of form to gaming.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, that's mass it's like 2021, everybody wanted to do mass adoption. Like the business model of everybody was like mass adoption. But it seemed to be, with all these virtual worlds and stuff, the only one that was really winning was Roblox, Fortnite, right? Roblox now, I think, has like 60 million daily active users, something insane. So I think that showed gaming, people that game are really the ones that are taking it on and moving. So let's talk about that. And I think we read the same report. They were also mentioning Gala Games and some other ones as well. I'm in the Philippines, and in the Philippines there was the Axie, and it was kind of a disaster because people quit their jobs and they went all in on this game, and then they had to go back to working afterwards. So what is the future, though, of blockchain games? And do you agree with or disagree with people saying, change it from play to earn to do play and earn, or, maybe change the verbiage around that? But what is the future of blockchain gaming? And then also, what's the future of just any earned model?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. You nailed it there. I mean, obviously, with the play to earn components, it was a huge driver in the bull market, no question about it. I mean, but it's also something that is very unique, and I want to mention that specifically. What we see currently, and we have seen this especially in the talking to institutional investors in the last quarter, or actually just before FTX imploded, because we stopped all fundraising talks at that time. Because if you're bleeding the whole year and you're losing money the whole year as a VC, having to invest in Web3 gaming, then it's unlikely you want to make an investment in the last month or two of the year, right? You're rather happy, let's wait until January, start out fresh with a zero, and then move on from there. Now, having said that, it was super interesting to talk to all of these VCs, because I had such a deja vu to my times at Credit Suisse and in the corporate environment. Because when I was obviously went into blockchain and cryptocurrency, and at that time in 2016, I've taken a look at the tech, right? I mean, I was interested in the trading part, but the tech is always something that I want to understand and I want to get into. And this notion, or this slogan in 2016, 17, 18 was always, from a corporate side, blockchain is amazing, crypto is crap, right? Forget crypto tokens, really, really bad, blockchain great, right? And I was like always sitting there in awe, and I'm like, but this doesn't make any sense. I mean, why would anyone run a validator node, a node himself, if he doesn't have any incentive for it? Like, this doesn't work in the terms of a public blockchain. This seems like, to me, you're saying having a car is great, but the engine we don't want because it consumes energy, right? And in crypto gaming right now, there seems to be a similar notion. I have like literally a deja vu here, because most of the VCs and most of the institutional investors, they're like on this path that, yes, gaming and crypto fits together in a sense that if you build a game and you integrate NFTs into the game, you have this asset ownership and all the benefits that come with that. That's great, but don't do a token, right? Because play to earn or play and earn or play, earn and own, to me, this is all the same thing. This is all naming convention. Come on, I mean, let's be honest, right? The model itself is what matters. And here's the big thing. I think this is also where people, especially on the institutional side, make a huge mistake. If you say, okay, we only want to focus on games that have only NFTs, that don't have a token, you're completely missing out, in our opinion. And the reason is, if you look at the numbers, in 2021, when obviously the bull market was in full swing, when especially by the time when Facebook announced the name change to Meta, everything exploded. You have these exponential and crazy growths. Axie Infinity, for example, since you mentioned it before, in November 2021, Axie paid out $660 million in a single month in play-to-earn rewards, right? I mean, it's huge. And when you think about that, the big traditional gaming studios, they cannot afford to pay out $600 million in a single month, right? Because that's like advertising budget. And I don't see even the very large players, I don't see their advertising spend reaching those levels. More impressively was also the growth and I mean, those were copycats, but you had these projects. For example, let's take Pegaxi. They went from $3 million in, I think it was October 2021, to $300 million in paid out rewards in as little as 3 months. I mean, absolutely mind-blowing, right? It does not mean that what happened there, because of the play-to-earn structuring, and let's face it, in my opinion, many of these play-to-earn games were rather structured like a Ponzi scheme, right? Which it's never sustainable. Even without the bear market kicking in, many play-to-earn economies would have collapsed, because it's a mathematical function at the end of the day, right? If you have more outflows than inflows, your token has to go down. And if you're paying out 50%, 100%, 150% returns in a single month, I mean, you have to double your user base, right? Every single month. That doesn't work. However, having said all that, this does not mean that the whole concept is bad, right? It means that the math was just, not correctly done behind it. And but I would caution the notion of NFT in gaming, great. Token, crypto token in gaming, stay away, because that seems to be a bit of the trend.
Yeah, it's I like how you broke that down. It's the economics. It sounds like there was bad economics at play, which then caused a lot of these collapses. And then you mentioned not taking into consideration what happens if there is a bear market, or what happens if there's changes. Eventually, it was going to implode no matter what. But like you also said, if they paid out so much, there were so many people playing it, it really gave people the idea of what to do next. And sometimes you have to have people going into something, maybe they don't do that well, but they kind of set off like, these are the possibilities, now go and make it better. So I'd love to hear tell me about 0x Battleground. I've seen the video, incredible graphics, like really it looks super fun. I'm not even really a gamer, but I love to play it. So talk to us about the inspiration for this game, and then also how is this game different, and the fact of I really enjoyed it. I don't know why, but it reminds me of when you were talking there of like OnlyFans. I was just reading about how OnlyFans paid out like $3 billion last year to creators. Wow. And hate them or love their model, the fact that they're putting the creator first. And that's kind of what I'm hearing from you about games. Or games can still reward the players or creators, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call someone here, I guess would be players. But so talk to me about this game and how are they also, being able to reward the players and those that devote a lot of their time.
Okay. Interesting notion with OnlyFans, but that's great. In our game, what we focused on, since we speak about the economy, I mean, iBLOXX itself, my person and the team of data scientists and quant engineers, in addition to game developers, we have a lot of know-how in this financial simulations. We are running stress tests of the economy. We simulate basically everything, and we have a quite sophisticated financial model behind everything that we're doing. And ultimately, for us, it's like building a game which is go into this direction of being completely decentralized, decentralized in a way that we want the community to participate in the success of the game, in itself, the value creation of the game, and most of the rewards flow towards that. So this is actually how we have structured the economy. But in order to succeed, just because we are focusing on this game economy part and how we have structured the whole game itself, this is only possible if you solve some other problems first, right? Because ultimately the whole mathematical calculation is ultra simple. Inflows should match outflows, otherwise the token price will go down, right? It's not very complicated, right? It's just like managing or running a normal company. And ultimately, you can only monetize assets, or you can only monetize player time if people enjoy the game, right? If they enjoy something playing without the financial component, only then you have a basis of achieving these things. And that starts with fun gameplay, right? So we built a game where it's a battle royale style, where you end up on this island and you compete against others, and it's a shooter game, right? So season 0 is our beta testing game. We did something very funny there. So we tapped into a kind of a parody. It's non-profit, because it's mainly just testing the infrastructure, giving the community something to play with, to have some fun with. And there we have this fictitious character called Simon Brainfried, and he's the founder of What the F Exchange, WTF Exchange, and he's on this island, and your mission is to find Simon Brainfried and put him to justice, or bring him to justice, put him in prison, literally. So you end up in this island, you search him, he's popping up on the map with some mission instructions where he's currently last seen, and then you obviously have to try to rush there, fight off all the other players, and try to put him in prison, and you get points for everything. So this is like season 0 beta testing to have the community involved, have some fun of it. And I think this part is ultra important, right? You need to build a game which the community likes and which is fun. And if you want to have the adoption and the scalability, I think a second point is ultra critical, and that's something that is really missing in the market. So right now you have about 1.8 million active wallets if you exclude Bitcoin in general in blockchain. Half of that, like you mentioned at the beginning, is associated with gaming mostly. So gaming clearly the largest sector of all the active or of all the blockchain activity. But still, I mean, compare it, 1.7 million active wallets, active people, versus almost 3 billion active gamers worldwide. So as a game publisher or as a game developer in Web3, you have to ask yourself, okay, what is it that you're targeting? Are you targeting 1.7 million wallet users, or are you targeting 3 billion gamers out there? Because if you want to target the 3 billion gamers out there, you have to build the game in a completely seamless way when it comes to blockchain technology. You cannot ask them to say, please here, set up a wallet, MetaMask, install, then bridge tokens from one chain to the other, or open up a trading account first at one of the large exchanges, then figure out how to do a transfer. You will lose them, right? This is not possible. So you have to focus on making this whole approach completely Web2 oriented. So in our sense, in 0x Battleground, you literally download the game, and the wallet and everything happens in the background. The wallet is automatically generated on your local machine, so you have custody over your cryptocurrencies then. and you can literally start gaming, right? And that's an important point of the whole adoption when you're looking at from a marketing perspective. If the people then want to buy NFTs or anything like that, you should provide a fiat on ramp or an NFT checkout that they can use your credit card, because that's what the Web2 gamers used to, right? So these things I think are absolutely critical.
Yeah, the ease of use of things drove me crazy in 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
I remember there was a few these big names and they would do a drop or something would come out. I think one I spent like 4 or 5 hours one day trying to buy. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this would never, like any other industry, they would be like fired, like it was just such a bad experience. To your
Absolutely.
point, nothing really went into the customer experience of
Yeah.
the ease of things. Like buying on websites gotten easier, but buying in crypto just got harder. So I appreciate the fact that you're looking at how do you make it really easy and seamless in the background versus like you having to know about all these things in the forefront. And that's what turned me off from some of these games and other things,
Yeah.
and probably a lot of people the same, because we don't necessarily have all this time in the day to study just to play.
I think that's the most important point of when it comes to gamers. Traditional gamers can be quite negative towards crypto gaming, and I think this is the number one reason: the game not being fun to play, because they're like thinking, okay, what is this that I'm playing here? And the second is, how do I play, right? Even if they want to, like, you make it impossible. I mean, even us, right, as crypto professionals doing nothing but that since many years every day, for us, it was difficult to bridge tokens from one chain to the other to play a specific game. I mean, we literally needed like a day for that, right? And that's. I mean, how do you want to get customers if you make it even difficult for crypto professionals? Like that's an dead end road, I think.
Well, I love the brain fried. I thought that was funny. I was watching it. I was like, no, the parody. I think gaming parody is always a fun thing. Those are a lot of the games I used to play, and like this style, like first person, shooters and all that. So are you going to have, is it multiple games within one? Is that kind of how 0x Battleground is going to be? Like you can choose different games to play, or this was just the first test and the actual 0x Battleground is going to be something separate?
It's basically season 0, so we'll make different seasons. It will always circulate around having to defeat others. It's always going to be multiplayer, but this is the first season. And then with the real game launch, which is targeted for later on in the beginning of the second quarter, something like that, so not too far away. The games itself will always have different seasons. So we will implement different maps, different play modes. And then, for example, right now with the Simon Brainfried Wanted game, you have to catch him, right? And then put him to prison. That's the game mode that you have to achieve. But in the other games, in season 1, when we really launched the game, this is not going to be the topic anymore. It focuses on esports. So we'll have these leagues and progression, and then qualifying for regular tournaments is one of the core game loops that we're building. And we are having all of these different maps then, of course, available for players to keep the players engaged. And we also, our intention is also to build together with the community, right? Because I think one of the huge advantages of crypto gaming is community. You are so close to the community, and that's a benefit for them, just like for us. We know what they want, and they have a say in what they would like to see, right? If the community will vote on, and we are working towards a full DAO structure, so being then later on fully decentralized, if they vote on they want to play the next season on the moon, hey, we're going to play on the moon. I don't care, right? Because ultimately it's not about us, it's about the gamers themselves, giving them a good gaming experience.
I think that's another piece of why people really enjoy, like you're saying, blockchain games, because most games you have no say. The game comes out, you play the game. The next game comes out, you play the game, but you don't really have a say in the game. I know I was actually, I used to program games when I was a teenager up until college. I was a heavy, avid gamer. So, and, multiplayer, but looking back, if I was, in that same point right now, I think I'd be even more excited because I have a say in the game, but also it was always a dream of mine to be a professional gamer. You know, there was that
Mhm.
movie in the 80s about, I forget the name of the movie, where the kid, he becomes a professional gamer. And I was like, man, I want to like, and the
Yeah.
fact that esports now, I'm seeing it here in the Philippines, and I was just in other parts of Southeast Asia last week, and esports is just massive. And I know the rest of the world is huge. So it's, I mean, that's smart to not just create a game, but to create all these components around the company, the gaming, and the community. That makes sense. Where can people download and play the game right now?
Right now, not yet. We are about to launch the beta testing. So right now, they would have to join our Discord and apply for the beta testing. We have quite an active community already. So the first joiners of the community will have priority. So these will be the first guys to test the game with us together. But I would say during March, almost anyone will be able to play the game and apply for the beta testing. But at the beginning, it's all filtered. So we want to, have a close contact with them. We want to do regular calls with them and see, okay, what did they like, what did they didn't like, and then improve from there as well.
So how can people sign up, join the community?
They can just have to go to www.0xbattleground, so zero with a zero number, xbattleground.com, and there's a join Discord link, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, or Telegram under that. Alternatively, they can also go to iBLOXX.com and go from there towards the gaming site.
Got it. Okay, so 0x Battleground. And then I want to dive in a little bit more. We have a few minutes around just because everything now is really global. And I'm not even just talking about gaming, but I think it used to be you had to launch your business in a certain market, in a certain region. And then if it's success, it's like you had to follow along this path and everyone had to do it the same way. But now it's like you can reach people all around the world. And it doesn't necessarily going to cost you a huge amount of money like it may have in the past, because there's communities, there's referrals, there's affiliates, there's social media, there's so many avenues now that you can expand and you can get in front of people. So I'd love to hear, what are your thoughts on, since gaming is just massive, like you mentioned, 3 billion people around the planet. So when somebody launches a game like yourself, how does one look at global expansion? And if you're looking at that, where do you see a lot of opportunity?
Okay. I mean, gaming market is huge in Southeast Asia, right? That's certainly one of the areas that you should focus on. But I think it's like you mentioned, it's global, right? If you want to target the play to earn, then obviously where you are from in the Philippines is certainly a huge market. It's probably the most famous market for the play to earn economy. Venezuela came up as well afterwards. I think, countries where hyperinflation is setting in or there's poverty, I think in these markets you can always find people interested for multiple reasons, right? One, they want to escape their real life that they see and be immersed in this game and forget about all the problems and challenges. But also as an income potential, because obviously in play to earn and play, earn, and own, or whatever you want to name it, you have the opportunity to earn some money doing something that most people love to do, right? So I would focus global for sure. With the online world that we are living in now, you should focus on global, but there's certainly some markets that are sticking out. Southeast Asia, Philippines, Venezuela, these countries certainly are primed for play to earn, but we are completely global. It's also because our game is a bit more high end, so we structure it in a way that we also focus on Europe, North and South America as well, but Middle East here and Asia. So we're literally having a completely global approach.
It's amazing. Yeah, it looks like a really fun game. A fun game first, and then you get other components, which is amazing. But yeah, no, I really appreciate you being here. So it's Domenik from iBLOXX, 0x Battleground. Make sure everyone joins the community. Get in there. I'm excited for March because I want to play. I don't even play games really, but I want to play this game. So I'm excited for March.
Yeah, would be great.
I signed up for the list. So, and I love your community. And like you mentioned, I can tell that you're passionate, that you are really actually passionate about community, not just saying that. I think many people say it, but they don't really live it. And so
Yeah.
appreciate that as well. But if somebody wants to get in touch with you personally, and maybe it's not about 0x, maybe it's more about iBLOXX, how can they find you?
Or they can write me. They can email me at DM for Domenik Maier at iBLOXX.com or info@0x Battleground. But they can also find me in Discord. So I have to check my crypto handle. It's Crypto Gamer in Discord. So if they wanna get in touch with me there, I'm trying to spend as much time in the Discord as possible. This Friday, actually, we have an Ask Me Anime anything in the Discord channel. So you can find me anywhere. I'm always approachable as much as time allows, of course. But I try my best to be in touch with the community. And really, thanks for having me, Dan.
Yeah, no, this has been great. Thank you, Domenik. And hopefully we'll see you. We'll bring you back in March, maybe March, April, when the game launches. And then we can dive into how the success is going then. But thanks again for being here. And thank you all for listening to another episode of Meta Talks.